Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you all are doing well. I apologize for the hiatus on this channel as well as really all of our content. It's been an interesting couple of months, very busy for me, and so I haven't had an opportunity to focus on Life on the Wrist, but I would like to return in some form or fashion, and so this is really just a video to let you know that there will be some content coming soon. I've already started posting again on our social media pages. So if you aren't following us on our Instagram, for example, go to the show notes. There's a link in the description of this video to all of our social media sites. If you would like to follow us there, you'll get some more regular content from us there. I also will be making more videos as I was previously. 2022 was a little bit strange for me, but I'd like to get back into it, and there's so much that is going on in the watch world, especially with the state of where we are when it comes to watches and also just globally. So I thought this would be an interesting time to make some videos and articles about watches and be involved in the watch community. So look out for all of those coming soon from me. One of the other things I wanted to let you know is that we will also be picking up our podcast series. If you listen to podcasts or you don't know already, I do make a podcast every week. One podcast is released every Tuesday. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you will find the Life on the Wrist podcast. So I'll be releasing one tomorrow. And in that podcast, we cover a range of topics that I think happened within the last couple of months. I don't think I'm going to really focus on that content for the YouTube channel and for our editorial section. I think I want to look forward and look at the things that are going to be happening over the next however many weeks. So just to cover a couple of those things that I did end up covering there. The first thing I covered was a continuation of the 5711 Patek Philippe Tiffany Blue dial watch that was sold at Philips for a record price for a Nautilus. I think it was like 6.5 million. Really interesting development there. The winner of that auction actually didn't end up taking that watch home. They, for some reason or another, were not able to pay they didn't end up paying the price for the watch. And so the auction house ended up going to the second highest bidder and offering that individual the watch. The individual didn't end up taking the watch, and so he's been fairly vocal on Instagram about this piece in the watch that he's now honored to be able to wear. I won't spoil it too much, but check out our podcast tomorrow if you are interested in hearing our thoughts on that whole thing. I also cover the 5740 that was seen on a very famous CEO's wrist. This is a Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar Nautilus with a Tiffany Blue dial, which is a one of one. No one has ever seen that piece ever before. And so continuing on the sort of Tiffany Blue motif, it was spotted that someone did own a Tiffany Blue Perpetual Calendar. So we cover that on the podcast as well. Again, I won't spoil it too much. Be sure to check out our podcast as well. We then cover a couple of topics when it comes to new watch releases. Grand Seiko released a really interesting dial color for two of their watches. It's kind of like an icy blue look to it. Really interesting that it sort of coincides with this Tiffany Blue auction. I don't think when you really think about it, I doubt Grand Seiko is saying, oh, someone released a Tiffany Blue dial watch, we should do something in a similar blue. It's definitely not what went into their minds. I know that these types of decisions take many months for someone to come up with and get approval for and decide to design their watches around, so that's definitely not it. There's a really awesome open work dial, Audemars Piguet Tourbillon, that was just released. Again, I cover in our podcast, so be sure to check out our podcast if you want some more information about that. That watch is in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Royal Oak, so another really cool release there. There is an awesome, there were two really cool watches released by Tag Heuer recently to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Autavia line. They released a flyback chronograph and a GMT, two watches that are, again, celebrating the 60th anniversary. Really interesting and I speak about it in the podcast, you know, when you think of the Rolex Daytona, you know you're getting a chronograph. When you think of the Omega Seamaster, you know you're going to get a dive watch. The Ottavia and sort of Tag Heuer in general, you can think about it like in the Carrera and the Ottavia, like you actually could get a chronograph, or you could get a dive, or you could get something that's like a dive watch. And so the Ottavia is sort of similar there. Just an interesting concept when it comes to how Tag Heuer sort of structures their lines of watches. But two really beautiful watches. The flyback chronographs, they have a Panda version, and then they have an all black DLC of it. They've also got, I think the GMT is sort of a dark blue and black motif. Beautifully simple, nice celebration from them. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was just a watch that was released by Zenith. Zenith released a chronograph, a vintage inspired chronograph, where they actually created a dial with two separate colors. There's a diagonal line that goes through the watch, and there's a black and white side of the dial, which I thought was such a cool, and I know I speak about this a lot, but a lot of the times I've criticized watch companies because they, it feels like they're just redoing the same things over and over again, taking something from their past and then not really like innovating on it. But I think this is a great example. Vintage inspired piece from Zenith. They released them in the El Primero line previously, and it's a very collectible watch from Zenith. And what's really cool to see is they decided to innovate and create this really interesting dial. So a nice example from Zenith, and I can't speak more highly about that piece. For 10,000 US dollars, I think it's a phenomenal piece to consider. So a ton of new watch releases. Again, I apologize that we were not creating videos and articles for the editorial section of Life on the Wrist to cover all those pieces, but what we're going to be doing is looking forward at all of the things that are to come. I've got two pieces in the watch store right now that are absolutely beautiful. There's a Universal Genève chronograph that we'll cover in a video as well as in an article. I have fallen in love with Universal Genève chronographs again. It was one of the first pieces that I really loved. It's one of the pieces that I think is vintage to a T, and it definitely reflects what I enjoy in watches. And then there's also a Le Coultre Master Mariner 1200 that is in the store. A beautiful time-only piece from an absolutely phenomenal brand in really, really great condition. So I'm really looking forward to covering both of those watches on the YouTube channel, but also in the editorial section of our website. So stay tuned for all that. A ton of really great things coming up over the next couple weeks. I'm very excited to be back. I hope you guys are excited for the revitalization of 2022 for Life on the Wrist. Looking forward to it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of the content that's to come from me and the Life on the Wrist family. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for us, for the revitalization, for us coming back, but also to continue to share these videos with those who are interested in watches. It really would help us out, and of course, it would help us out with our YouTube analytics. Check out our social medias if you want some more content from us there as well. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.